if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So you're wasting your time, basically. So that's been always my motto, like always be in a room where you have so much more to like learn. And then teaching, which I'm making a parallel between teaching and mentoring, is teaching is the best way to learn.
Welcome to The Parallel Entrepreneur, where we dive into the minds of entrepreneurs who push beyond the limits of a single business. Learn how these visionaries invite creative synergies to flow between multiple and oftentimes diverse enterprises simultaneously. Whether you're just starting out or managing multiple ventures, you already think outside the box. And this podcast will inspire you to recognize and tap into the power of parallel entrepreneurship.
Today's guest is Eve Peeterson. She's an Estonian strategy and transformation leader with more than 20 years of experience across the hospitality, the creative sector, and government innovation. Eve worked her way from hotel receptionist to hotel director. She led Estonia's top event marketing agency to award-winning growth and later served as the head of Startup Estonia, helping design and advance that country's national startup strategy. She's most recently led innovation and startup services at Enterprise Estonia, strengthening the country's global R&D and deep tech footprint. In true parallel form, she's also the founder of Leaders Online, a science-backed leadership mentorship platform. Eve is here in Nashville as a Fulbright Humphrey Fellow researching innovation ecosystems. Let's dive right in. I thought I just have to have you on the show because this is such an interesting perspective. Like nobody's going to get it except me. And why I'm going to get it, why I get it is I'm your Humphrey Fellow buddy. And Vanderbilt Patton paired me up with you to welcome you to our country and welcome to the show.
Happy to have you as my buddy.
All right.
We always talk about the United States, the startups that are successful and all of these different options and VC funding and all those programs and accelerators that are happening and all these public, academia, private sector combination, networking, everything is like Silicon Valley is the perfect example. It's like a melting pot of all the opportunities that are there and all the talent. Like how can we always brought that as the example of like the success story.
Sure.
Like how can we and should we even replicate that? And we always kind of brought out these different programs and designed different initiatives in Estonia. And I started to feel a bit suffocated by our own bubble. Like we talk about things that we are never experienced. So my goal then was to come to this program, make new friends, talk to people, learn about the programs, learn about how these networks are built, learn about how these programs are actually designed, who's doing that, who's responsible for what, and then think, okay, like looking back at home now, what can I learn from it? What should I learn from it? Maybe I have something actually to bring to the table here and just really broaden my world. That was like, I just felt a bit like trapped and suffocated, I would say, in my own little small world. So that was the kind of reason why I even applied for this internship. Now, the critical thing is I never meant to come to Nashville because when you think about like famous startup ecosystems or cities where things are happening.
Sure.
Silicon Valley maybe is not like the role model anymore, but we talk about Boston.
Yeah,
like that's the heart of, the science and the entrepreneurship meet and my whole acceptance letter. Pages and pages of it was written based on how I will be and what I will do in Boston and how it's the place I should be. And then when the answer came, I was like, no, well, it's actually Nashville. I was so surprised.
Yeah.
Like, nobody talks about Nashville as the entrepreneurial center or the startup hub.
And we are one of the greatest places in the country to start and grow a business.
Exactly. But I didn't know that. And this has been like the most exciting journey. And I think it was meant to be like this. I think I was exactly meant to be here. The learning and kind of the vibe that I've been getting here I think is completely exactly what I actually needed.
Well, the
Would've
universe
known.
wanted you to come to Nashville, and here you are. And we became friends because I had the opportunity to become your Nashville buddy, and somebody thought I would introduce you around, and we would have a lot of fun, and we have. And what I've learned from you, I'm fascinated about your approach to mentorship. How is mentoring experienced differently in your cultural background in Estonia, in Europe, right? And here in Nashville, what is it that you think is like this thread that you're going to pull out, and what are you discovering?
Yeah, I've really dug into mentorship deep during this 6 past months. But thinking about the episodes that I, as a mentor myself, have been through, well, there is much less, I would say. Like, mentorship is something I would say is more in acceleration programs, or like it's somehow designed into different like startup programs. It is, I would say, less popular or less used for leadership improvement in general.
Okay, so are you saying that you're discovering something here that is more available to leadership?
It is, like, I think Estonia and Europe in general tends to be a little bit more on the technical side. Like, how do we make this solution work perfectly? How exactly, like, do we fix this, that, third? Like, how do we make sure that all of your like R&D journey goes well? Like, what help do you need there? What experts do you need
highly
to
process mapped.
So it's more like, let's say, I just saw this. I don't remember who posted it on LinkedIn. Like, there was a graph which was product readiness in Europe versus US. So in Europe, it's like crap, always crap, up to the point where it's almost perfect. Then it's like, okay, we can sell now. Versus the US, it's like, oh, you have a great idea.
That's an MVP.
It's like,
Let's go to market.
we have an MVP. Let's start selling. Let's start like pushing it. So on the same like actual readiness chart, the US startups and the mentors actually encourage to sell and to actually interact with the customer much earlier. So it's not like a good or bad thing, but I think we're just kind of holding ourselves back a little bit, like making sure the technicalities are perfect before we are, comfortable enough to show this to a customer. So, and this is a really, what I want to learn, and I have personally learned from here, is we really need to focus more on the customer problem, the customer goals, and the customer value. So start from there. Don't build a perfect product. Recently, I think there have been more focus also back home on the fact that you actually need to find the person who would buy before you perfect your solution. But in general, I'm just like maybe oversimplifying here, but the focus on the customer journey, the customer need, and everything to do with, like, we start from there. This is how this reality works. While in Europe, we have this great solution, we have this great science, we have this great product, and then we start to find, like, okay, who might have this problem? So I know that there are both cases in both US and Europe, but this is just like something that maybe strikes out a little bit.
So you were leading Enterprise Estonia and looking for inspiration. You apply for the Humphrey Fellowship. You wind up in Nashville, and now you're actively engaged in this idea of reinventing yourself. And I think that's a really important concept too, right? We meet the challenge, we meet the customer's requirements, we do all these things, we just meet life. And where we meet life is every day is an opportunity to reinvent yourself. And we've had some conversations about this. What's the reinvention experience like for you here in the United States while it's happening real time? And where is it taking you?
I think I've reinvented myself many times. I don't know if it's a restlessness of some sort or the constant, like, I'm not enough symptom, or not a symptom, but a disorder of
the programming,
like never being enough. So I constantly think I need to learn more and become somebody else during this one lifetime. So I've been in hotel business like 10 years, complete change from there to creative industry. So managing a marketing agency for 5 years. And then from there to
And
start
that
up
was like
Estonia.
one of the leading marketing agencies.
It was pretty big deal, yeah. And like the creativity all started from there. So I never thought I was a creative person before going to work in the marketing agency. And then when you let yourself be surrounded by these creative, artistic people who just are like designers and performers and whatever, you start like quietly going to these, meetings, and you see, oh, I had an idea. Oh my God! And this idea actually got implemented, and I was like copywriting at some point. I didn't even know what copywriting is 2 years ago. So you just like allow yourself to become a new person. You didn't even know that you had it in you. I was like, I'm not an artistic person. I'm not like a creative person. Everybody really is. So the reinventing oneself has really been in me all this time. And then going to the public sector, which was a completely different struggle in a very positive way, because there is no greater mission than to really work for not just yourself and your company's owners, but for the society. I mean, the pressure is so different. Mm-hmm. And to experience that, I think everybody should do that, like work on the private and the public sector side. Because working in this Estonia's biggest innovation agency, we were always like in somebody's hair, like a person who has never worked on that side is like, oh, the government, they don't know what they're doing. They're wasting money. They should just like fire everybody. Like these people are just sitting around there. But
exactly. I have a lot of friends in government and various state, local, federal. I don't know anybody that goes to work every day thinking, I'm going to waste time. I'm going to just like clock in and regulate something that doesn't matter. I don't know anybody that wants to live that life, and I don't believe that people in our government actually go through their career with that attitude. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense to me. It's just it's a soundbite, I think, that people grab onto.
Yeah, but I think, Mark, don't you think sometimes we live in some sort of bubbles? Sometimes I think we live in kind of our cute bubbles where people are all mission driven and are like this all in and, let's be, leave something after ourselves.
Yeah,
there
legacy.
Or,
okay, you nailed me.
We're
driven.
Right. So I'm sure there are different people everywhere. Like in private sector, I mean, I am sure not everybody is like, oh, I'm so focused. We're just gonna make it.
Well, we do see people that like to hide in organizations.
Yeah, there are always going to be. Public, private doesn't really matter.
Well, so the challenge then, it really doesn't matter which organization you're in, but the environment gives you a new perspective, right? So now you're in the United States, you're moving around, you're going to Austin, you're going to South by Southwest coming up, right?
Yeah.
What's the journey like for you as you explore entrepreneurship, mentorship, and innovation in the United States?
I had been designing public services, but I had never any clue how to actually do that. What's the process behind innovation? What's the process behind design thinking? What is it?
Yeah.
And so that was actually the trigger that I started to dig deeper here. So that's my new transformational period, like how to be a better design thinker, innovation practitioner. It's been really a great journey. But it also, this transformational period has allowed me time to think, and that's another kind of a dogma I always had about myself. I don't have a business idea. I just don't have it. I'm just like a person who's like enabling others because I'm just a leader. I'm just a manager. Like that's not a trade. And now I have been here for more than 6 months, and I've discovered, okay, but that actually is something that can be made into an entrepreneurial venture. So that I'm pursuing now is, what if I really did something on my own, or what if I applied a completely new set of skills? So coming back to this question, I am here experiencing as much as I possibly can. I think during the 10 months that I will be spending here, I will have visited maybe 12 states. I don't know how many cities. And really, I want to meet people, experience nature, as well as like conferences. There have been great speakers, even in Nashville. Like the people that they bring just to the University of Vanderbilt to just speak, because they're alumni or in any way attached. That there's just so much expertise in one room. It's like just
it drips.
it drips. And South by Southwest, I've heard about it so much that it's the greatest thing on this side of the United States. So the innovation, music, and movie and a festival, like all in one week.
Nothing against Austin, but you're starting in Nashville, so you're going to go down there with sort of high expectations. Let's see if they can pull it off.
Let's see. And there's always a fight between like who makes a better barbecue.
Right.
So I can be the neutral
them's fighting words
scientist.
Well, so you're going to do that, and you're going to head up to the Great Lakes area. I think you mentioned in an earlier conversation.
Yeah, Chicago was a surprise to me. It was a little bit like between New York and some other city, which I can't name. Maybe New York and Nashville. It was fantastic, and I was spending a few days there, and I was sure I want to go back. I am gonna go back, but not for that long. So just for it's a leadership training, let's say. But the month in Austin is where I really want to immerse myself into like where do the startups like have their offices? What do they do? The Capital Factory, where it's like the hub. So much like we have these hubs like back home. So why not just like see, is it different? Is it the same? Because I think the vibe so far has been so similar that it's like, do people eat different things, or do we talk about different things, or what is there different, or is it just like that the sheer amount of just venture capitalism, or like what is it? And can we then replicate it or change something?
Well, it sounds to me like you also want to have what is unique in Estonia be a part of the root of whatever, emerges there. Entrepreneurship is not easy. And I think that we should celebrate our entrepreneurs wherever we find them and build them and grow them. And team building seems to be one of the core issues that any company has. Team building, culture. How do you? What are the differences that you observed so far when you got into an American startup versus the European startup?
Yeah, team building, definitely. We talk about the same things, especially when it's a very deep science-based team or an idea that's just fresh out of a lab. And there's probably, I don't know, sometimes it's so unique that there's nobody that understands you. And maybe, how do you find a co-founder for something that only you understand, or maybe a couple of other people? So that's where having more people actually is useful. Happening here, and maybe the fact that there are more programs than that to take you through that kind of first few steps before you get to the valley of death and whatnot. But in Estonia, I think what is really great is like we are fewer, but we have really great like startup visa system, and I think a third of all of our startup employees are actually foreign founders, foreign people. So we've made it like
so
a very deliberate. Deliberately made it a point.
Startup friendly.
And it's not just that we are few. We know actually for a fact that diversity makes really a big difference in startups. So Estonia has been like number one in the number of startups, number one in Europe in number of like unicorns per capita, of course. I mean, we're not like, but so we are really deliberate about like making sure that everything that we can do, bring the people in, bring the talent in, do the programs. I mean, really mix it up, like take it to the regions. So that is something that we have done, and also, because it's still not enough, I've tried to kind of take the Nordics and Baltics together, let's say 8 countries, and create like a Nordic Tech Valley. I just call it like,
I like
it's cute. Yeah, Nordic Tech Valley vision, where we kind of make it easier to see other programs and other teams in different countries. And we're so similar in terms of culture and how we do business and the work ethic, which is really, really high. I mean, people are smart and they work hard. So how do we make sure we find each other easier? Also, the mentoring platform that I'm kind of building now is meant to make it easier to onboard different experts from across borders, because like what happens here between states is us doing things between countries. So we just need to make ourselves deliberately bigger and have more and in depth of expertise, capital, and everything, knowledge.
I've been in Europe a number of times and always marveled that I could be at a nightclub or a luncheon, someplace, a cafe, and there's 6 different languages being spoken audibly within, I can hear there's French over here and there's German over there. And then I'll come to a Starbucks and the only thing I'll hear is tall, skinny, right? All English. And I wonder, it's always made me curious, does that rich multilingual foundation of that universe, is that a competitive advantage? Is that a creative level up? What do you think?
On a personal level, individual level, I think it's a very big plus. I'm a philologist and I'm a fan of linguistics, like by my first master's. So I really believe
my first master's is in linguistics.
Let's just throw around numbers here. But really, I really think that how we speak and our language so much defines how we, behave, think, and I don't know. It's maybe weird, but like a same person talking in one language versus another, that they become a different person somehow.
The words have meaning,
know.
right?
Exactly.
And different languages approach.
The connotations and everything. Like some languages don't even have that word, or some are really simple in grammar and really hard in intonation, and some are completely vice versa. So but that's another story. But on a, let's say, entrepreneurial level, it's of course harder, because now when you think about the European Union, for example, like if you want to sell to more than one country, which is always the case, as we're talking about like a startup, like a tech startup, you need to incorporate into different languages, cultures, etc., etc., etc. So it's a good thing. Now European Union is working on the EU Inc., which would be kind of the 28th regime, which is kind of let's say a fictional country, a regime that would enable you to incorporate a company in 27 member states simultaneously. So that is like a very big step forward now, which Europe is working with. And for the startups we're basically born global. We have to have the global mindset, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Like Estonia is a location, it's not a market. So we're very global, and that helps. But individually, I think it wires you to. It just builds your brain muscle, I think, as well. Like you just think differently.
So much of the challenge of running an organization is related to communication, whether it's a product document, a product definitions document, or a memo to try to set policy, and you're working those muscles a lot, and it's just a beautiful thing. I just am aware that I speak English and I pretend to speak French, and I better not go anywhere where I need to have another language. This is a fun question. You've tell me what it is that surprised you the most about entrepreneurs that you've met in your experience so far in the United States.
I think I've met less entrepreneurs than you think. My days a lot of them are spent in the academic setting and meeting like these support organizations, because mainly my goal was to meet the enablers, the community organizations that enable all of those fancy things that entrepreneurs can enjoy. But you are one of them, the exceptional entrepreneurs that I've met, and you can just do so much. I think in that sense, you work hard You also play hard, but like I think there's never a time off. I don't think it's very much different from any other entrepreneur in any other country. But even the fact that the entrepreneurs I met here still make the time to do those LinkedIn posts and share the information, and they are the busiest people ever. I think that how your work is presented and how you talk about things and how you have that presence, let's say LinkedIn, is much more used, much more utilized, much more carefully designed, and also the other thing is nobody's afraid to sell. Like nobody's afraid to talk to customers. I think that's something that maybe we're more, I don't know, Nordic or something like more closed. So we need to learn that. I think there, like sales or talking to people, even the chit chat are just like, so how are you? How do I even find out like what you're worried about? How do I find out like what you're happy about as a customer? It takes like a struggle more of the times in Estonia than here. So I think, and also maybe you have more competition. So that's like, there's never anything just good or bad. It's just it's a different setting and you have your different fights, let's say. So if you make it in Estonia, you might have this illusion that you've made it because there's less people, less competition, less like of everything. And then even me, like I thought I was somebody, like I was on TV, I was on radio. I come here, like nobody knows me. I'm nobody. And it's good in one way, but it's also like if I needed to start like my life here now, to prove something or to start something, initiate something, like the company I'm working with right now, like I have this business idea for the first time in my life. I'm scared. Like, how do I even start? I'm nobody here. So in that sense,
I like the idea though. And the idea for our listeners is related to networking mentors. And I think that you've done some serious formal academic study and research on mentorship. I've been talking about what I call reverse mentorship. I would like to see, let me bounce this idea off you, maybe it'll get into your product plan, but I'd like to see where we're measuring the upward mentorship. Like, what did I learn from this mentoring session that I had? Not just what was the feedback. Like, in my experience, most of the time, I'm writing a report, so to speak, about what needs to happen or the changes or the observations or the concerns, whatever it might be that is about this mentoring topic, that's in front of us. And what I find when I'm super engaged is that I almost learn more from the mentee. So I'm thinking this two-way mentorship thing is good for mentors. It keeps us sharp. It brings our own skills and talents forward. Are you seeing anything like that? Is that in your product plan, or did I just get it in Edgewise?
It is in the product plan. One thing that I'd like to state from the start is like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So you're wasting your time, basically. So that's been always my motto, like always be in a room where you have so much more to like learn. And then teaching, which I'm making a parallel between teaching and mentoring, is teaching is the best way to learn. Like when you think of something and you become an expert in that, and then you think you know it, but then when you need to explain it to somebody or get somebody on board with the idea or see what their perspective is on that, you will think about it in a different way. You will put yourself in the other person's shoes and try to think, okay, how might I explain this in a way that is useful or applicable for them? So you start to think about your own ideas in a different way, because the only way mentorship works is if it's situationalized and personalized to that person. It's not like there is one truth, I learned it, and now I'm just kind of giving it to you, and you just better take it and like it. So it's I think that
really fun at all. No fun.
So definitely, I think you are completely right in that, because it is like teaching. it's the best way to learn and to surround yourself with people that are, and also young people, they know different things. I mean, we can't possibly keep up with everything that's going on. And by just like opening up yourself and then the other person for that conversation and that exchange of expertise or the lack of it in some cases, it just is, it's just magic. And what I'm thinking, like my big insight is like everybody is a mentor. And this is like one of the things that I started thinking about coming here is there are so many experts out there who think mentorship is something, I don't know, fancy or something that they need to, I don't know, learn in a school or they are not enough to be a mentor. So I want to change that. I want to enable people, leaders especially, to kind of learn how to be a mentor. Like, there's not so much. There's just a few rules and some like good advice that they can take and make that expertise more available to different leaders. I mean, I think we're just locking so much into people who just are not aware how they could share that knowledge. And there are no really good ways to do that. How do you become a mentor? Like, what's the door? Where do I knock?
Years ago, I first got involved with Michael Burcham, a mentor of mine, and whether he knows it or not, I paid real close attention to everything that he did. And I came through a mentorship training program at the Entrepreneur Center in Nashville, which is where we're actually recording today. And I did that because I wanted to become a better mentor myself. I wanted to learn how I could mentor inside my organization. I got to sit down with him and I asked him, what do you think is the mistake that most entrepreneurs make? And he said, hiring people you can afford is the number one mistake we make. And I've got clients and I'm in the M&A business, so I see lots of different companies and I've never lost that. It's difficult to reconcile. You're a startup, you don't have the money, but you need this kind of talent. You have to be able to make that deal, whatever that deal is, to get that talent into your organization. And yet many a times we just don't, because of these constraints, we don't think outside of whatever that constraint is. That's a constraint. I can't afford that person. I can't hire that person. That's the biggest mistake we make. Mm-hmm. And I look back on my own career, and I think he's accurate. I think it is the number one problem. Hiring people that we can afford is a mistake.
Yeah, and I will put one more layer there. Then again, from the kind of the company culture view towards then the leadership. Like first, it's really like the leader, the manager, like creates the culture. Like with every decision that they make, they will create the culture. It's not like things are haphazard and things are like weird, and then we do this company culture workshop and that will fix everything. No,
the leadership sets the weather.
It's like from like how you step in from the door up to the point, like how you pick up the call or leave the room, or how you set meetings or whatever. That's the culture. So my obsession with this mentorship now is partly also due to the leadership culture, which keeps on traumatizing people. Like the number one reason for people to leave work is because of their boss. I mean, how can we afford this? And this is just a question that is kind of bothering me. We have this like special like potential in leaders to become mentors so that all of us can become better leaders. And I just want to I think there's we need to kind of put that all into one box somehow, because we shouldn't tolerate bad leadership. We should not, because we can't afford it.
Amen. I love the idea that Estonia, from a startup perspective, is punching above its weight class. Let's just drill into that a little bit more. Give us some statistics. Tell us what you're proud of.
Yeah, happy to. Glad you asked. I mean, Estonia is kind of a country which is small, like very few people, 1.3 million, and not a lot of natural resources, not even mountains or like waterfalls or anything. So what do we have? Like our people, our brains. That's what actually Nashville says about themselves as well. So I already like see resonating back here. But what was a really cool thing in the 90s, the president at that time, we had just regained independence.
I was there.
You were there, right? Yes.
I was
This is crazy.
in Moscow in the moment which, on the day that Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania voted to separate, and that was the beginning of the end of the then Soviet Union.
That is
very,
great.
very exciting time, a wild...
the singing revolution, everybody holding hands, the Baltic chain. This was just, I mean, I was 10, so I don't remember all of it, but that was a crazy
you can't
time.
miss it.
Yeah, but I'm happy I actually lived through that, like the singing revolution, like, whoa, like people sang for freedom.
I don't think, maybe go a bit farther with that. I don't think people know this story. What happened? Singing for freedom.
Yeah, it's like people started gathering right before the actual collapse of the Soviet Union, like these secret night song festivals. I mean, song festivals themselves have a long history, like back into the like Enlightenment times of the Estonian culture in general. These song festivals happen every 4 years, but they had become this national symbol of identity and freedom and Estonianness. So I guess that was the point where people thought, like, this is something that unites us all. Like this song festival that they were at night, gathering in this song festival grounds, just singing like these amazing national songs about like freedom and such things. So it was definitely not like viewed upon very, in a good way. But this was how people united. This was the uniting force, and everybody came together. And then that's why we call it like a singing revolution, because everybody came, like hundreds of thousands of people just gathered to sing together. And that was like, that stayed as the symbol of independence and kind of regaining that independence, of that sense of no matter how much I hate my neighbor right now, we will go together and sing together tonight and until we become free. And then we can, continue being, annoyed neighbors. But that moment of really kind of coming together, that stayed. So that's why we call it still like singing into our freedom. That's a really beautiful thing.
Principle. It's beautiful. You actually, my wife Jenny and I host song circles at my home, and it's a foreign thing for most people, but it would be like as simple as uplifting, spiritually rejuvenating short songs that you can learn in 5 minutes, and everybody sings, and it might be 20, 30 people in my house, and you came to a song
I was
circle.
scared.
What were you scared about? You went through the singing revolution.
But I don't really sing unless it's like a choir of 1,000 people.
Yeah, unless your voice is lost.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm here to tell you, you have a great voice, and I think that voices, this muscle that we exercise, it carries with it a signature. It carries with it love. It carries with it voice. Like you mentioned earlier, intonation and language, and I think there are far too many people that don't use their voice and don't.
In a metaphorical sense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Singing as a muscle, or using your voice to communicate as a first option instead of being lost, right?
Yeah, it's like breathing. It's like it completely takes you into another place, and you can't be mad anymore, or you can't be sad anymore. It's like you transform yourself in a very particular way. I love how
nobody sings with a frown.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. I love how these conversations with you always like start from one place, and there's like no way of telling where that sentence will end. So about that startup ecosystem.
Yeah. Punching above its weight.
Punching above its weight. It's like, okay, so we're this independent young democracy. What do we have? Like, we're few. We don't have a lot of like anything. We're poor. We need to somehow make ourselves bigger and more and better. So we had a very clever president at the time, Lennart Meri, and also the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thomas Hendrik Ilves, who also later became president. So they came up with the idea that the internet was kind of a new thing, and they didn't know exactly what it will do, but they knew that it's a way to make ourselves bigger in a way that doesn't need necessarily, drawing our country, lines in a new place. But so internet was a thing, and computers were put into each school. So this is what we call the tiger leap. So first it was maybe fun, guys got to the computers and played video games, and it was just like a fun thing to do. But now if you talk to those tech founders, 9 out of 10 will tell you, like if you ask them, so what's your story? Like, how did you become this successful founder? Oh yeah, I started to play with a computer at school. So now they just got bored, and then they said, okay, what else can this machine do? And so that's how they started to learn programming. And that's kind of like really the story. And fast forward to Skype. I mean, Skype was invented by Estonian engineers. And when Skype was, it did an exit, of course, it was bought by eBay first.
Another unicorn.
So yeah, it was like a unicorn. It was a success story like nothing before. Like what came out of the Skype sort of the event or the Big Bang was a lot of capital, a lot of talent that knew how to scale a global company. And there were so many new tech companies that were founded at this time that now it has taken Estonia to this new waves of new unicorns, and it's like breeding new waves because of that one explosion. Of course, there was also other things happening because planets need to align, and together with the Skype effect, of course, there was at that point a clever governmental decision made. Like, we need this umbrella organization. Like, that's how Startup Estonia was also born. Like, we need some kind of bigger plan, a bigger vision to make sure we use all of this like little sprouts that are coming up of this, that we just make sure we use all of that. So all of the startup visa, and of course our digital infrastructure of the state, it makes it really easy to start a company and to take it global. So I mean, that was a very wise decision, and the community. This is what I see here as well, like how people help each other out and how you can get to everybody really fast, and everybody wants to give back. So that is the sense of community, and I've heard this spoken about so much in your previous podcasts as well. That this is the same vibe. Like, you can never be a successful ecosystem without that. The close-knit community and the supportive kind of services and the infrastructure and also the people you need to know. So that's the story, I think.
We recently had a mini series. So I've been experimenting with the Parallel Entrepreneur podcast, and most of it's been, 1 hour format kind of stuff. And then we started doing some really short format, and the purpose was to discuss innovation. And it was really with a lens on Nashville. And so we've been talking around this subject all this session, really about innovation. And I'm curious, if you were to try to put a pin in it, what is it that makes a company innovative? What is it that makes a person innovative? And then if we're trying to reinvent ourselves, how can we be more innovative?
You gave me a big one here. I have been thinking about this so much, and the best way to think about innovation is not to mention innovation in a way, because it's such a big term. It's like when you tell somebody, I would like to help you be more innovative, which is what we as an innovation agency wanted to do, then it kind of has this awkward effect where the founders may even like pull back. It's like, no, it sounds like too fancy, or it's not for us. Like, we just do what we do, and because innovation, it has so many things in it. Like, what do you want to do better? Do you want to make more profit? Do you want to, I don't know, be a better employer? Do you want to have a fancier, I don't know, product? Do you want to be change completely the way, the business model? Do you want to, what is it that you want to change? And I think we've maybe scared a lot of, let's say, mature companies, at least. Like startups, they're fine, but I'm talking about the mature company who's maybe a bit scared by the word innovation. We need to maybe change the way we talk about it, at least in Estonia. How do you want to be better? Do you want to be get better people to work for you, or do you want to just make more money, be happier, or do you want to just incorporate digital processes better so that you can actually do work faster and do less stupid things? So that's one thing. But for me, I've just learned.
I'm betting do less stupid things.
Exactly.
Let's do that.
Right. But the way I love to think about innovation right now is all thanks to Dave Owens, the professor at Wondery, who teaches innovation through 6 constraints. And I love how he puts it. Let's say normally a boss comes to you and says, so you start bringing me some new ideas. I want to do something cool, so give me something out of the box. So what you do is go and think something really crazy and really whoa, and then bring it to the boss, and they say, no, too expensive, no, too risky, no, all those things. So what he says is innovation has 6 constraints. There are individual constraints, team constraints, organizational, societal, industry, and technological. So you don't need to think outside the box, but rather inside the box, where all those constraints are dealt with and met. That leaves you, if you think about this Venn diagram, there are these 6 no-can-do areas, that leaves you only this little middle piece where you can actually operate. So that that takes all of the people to be creative, the team to give you enough support and emotional, confidence to even bring those ideas to the table. That needs an organization that has a structure and processes that enable you to be innovative. And it needs the society to accept that innovation. It's I don't know, Segway, for example.
Yeah, who cares? I want to get on a Segway once, and then after that, I'm a policeman in an airport.
Where do I even take it? And then the technology needs to work, obviously. Yeah. And then the industry needs to the ecosystem needs to approve that and be able to, everything around it needs to, make this feasible. So it leaves you this middle space where you can actually do innovation, and how you go about fixing those. On some things you have more power, over some things you have less power, but to know what is your biggest constraint and try and work around that and make sure that you make that little space bigger to give you more room for that innovation. So that is I think this is the most genius, the simplest way I have ever heard anybody explain and take it to practice.
And you talked a little bit about not having the resources, so you have to be more careful with how you allocate time for mentorship and who gets that resource. And so that's a constraint. Mm-hmm. Some of the most creative projects I've been involved in are starting with the constraint in mind, and what can we do within that box that is our cage, but in fact is our competitive beachhead or our landing place for innovation. Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I appreciate that. You've got an opportunity to land with, if we were to say we're closing this conversation out. What's the question that you thought I would ask you that I have not?
Maybe what do you? No. I don't know. Actually, you asked me a lot of questions. And I think I said more than I planned to. Maybe, something that what I will take home from this experience, because it's been like an academic journey and business journey and social and an individual journey. So I'm just going to ask myself.
Yeah. What are you going to take home from this experience?
Yeah, I really want to tie it back to the starting point where we said, like, you constantly reinvent yourself. And I really reinvented myself here. And I found these new ways that I could be, like the new me's that are all possible. And I really believe that, like we've talked about this before, but that the universe has like this multiple journeys laid out ahead of you. And you just have to be brave enough and maybe say yes more and open more doors to kind of just let yourself be carried onto those journeys. Not like in a way where you have to push yourself, because that's going to maybe create a friction, but just believe that you can become somebody that you want to become and then go and become it. So I think I have become a much better person with this experience. Like, I've met so many different people, like my understanding of cultural differences. I thought I knew what it means to have cultural differences. I did not. And I think it's something you can't read from a newspaper or book. You have to experience that and what it means to have different perspectives and backgrounds. What it means to be entrepreneurial, definitely. I think I learned this here more than any time before, and that I'm continuing to reinvent myself. And I think this is an experience where you just take yourself, if you ever can, or whoever's listening and needs that push right now, to take this time somehow and give yourself this space and opportunity to just sit around, not put the TV on, not read anything, and just kind of let yourself come up with crazy ideas or discover things that you were curious about, because that's the hard currency, right? Curiosity.
Yeah, I've heard it said that, and boredom is when your mind gets enough rest to actually be creative.
Yeah.
And when we're pursuing so hard, so much, we don't get the opportunity to just be pleasantly bored. And then you make different connections under those environments, you know. That's an interesting. Well, I hope you're not pleasantly bored in Nashville too often.
No, I keep myself busy. Yeah, thank you, Mark. I think this was just meant to be. Like, thanks for being my buddy.
I love it.
No, love it.
Hey, thanks for listening to another episode of The Parallel Entrepreneur. And thank you to our sponsors, partners, and the special team behind the scenes that make it all possible. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to our podcast and get the latest updates. And to learn more about this growing community of entrepreneurs, our mastermind and companion program for your parallel entrepreneur journey, visit parallelentrepreneur.com. And of course, thank you to all the visionary guests who trust us to share their stories.